like any reasonable language, JavaScript offers functions. So we can do function add1 to x, and we can say return x plus 1. And then we can use it by saying, for example, add 1 of 4.3. Okay, and if we run this code, we get 5.3. Functions can also be recursive, so we can do function factorial. Okay, and in the body we can do a test. So if n is greater than 1, okay, return n times factorial of n minus 1. Okay, and then there is an else branch in which we simply return 1. And if we do this, factorial of 5 should give us 120. Yes, this works. We notice also that functions are first order elements in JavaScript. So functions can be assigned to variables, which is something that we actually will do quite often. So and another way to define our add1 function is the following. We can say let a1 is equal to a function that takes a parameter x and returns x plus 1. Okay, and if we do this, we can apply a1 to a number such as 4, and the output will be 5. So in this case we have defined a function without a name, and we have assigned the function to a1 directly. So you may wonder, what is the difference between creating a function like this and assigning it to a variable, and doing it the old way, which would be defining function add1 of x that says return x plus 1. Okay, so what is the difference between these two types of declarations? The scope. Essentially, this definition becomes available only after you run it. So before you have this let a1 is equal to function, the value of a1 is not defined. Okay, you cannot use a1 here. Okay, you wouldn't be able to do these because at this point a1 would not be defined. Instead, at this point you can perfectly well say add1 of 3, say, because the scope of this add1 declared via function is global in the code block in which it appears. So there is a difference of scoping. The definitions via let become available only after you define them. The definitions via functions are available in the whole block. When you define functions in line in this way to assign them to a variable or maybe to use them in some other way, there is a shorthand available, and so you can say let a2, let me call it, is equal to, and then I can write using this arrow notation. I can say, and these are the parameters, then I can use an arrow, and then I can use the result. Okay, so these two will be equivalent, and so I can say a2 of 5, and this should give me 6 if I run it. Okay, so I see only the final result, which is 6, and this is correct. I note that this would work even if your expression is not a simple expression, but a concatenation of multiple expressions. Let me show you what I mean. I can say let a3 is equal to xy, just to give you a slightly more complicated example. Sorry. And then here I can type an entire block. For example, I can say y plus equals 1, return x plus 3. Okay, and then I could apply a3 to parameters 3 and 4. Okay, and I should get 10 if I am not mistaken. Oh yes, so this happens because I've rerun these in the same context and you cannot redeclare a let. So the solution is simply to refresh the underlying page, which deletes all the variable declarations, and then run it. Okay, so I let that error out, and so I was mistaken. X plus 3 is actually equal to 6, and I let that error so that you know that if you run this code twice, the let declarations will give you an error, and to clear them you just need to reload the underlying browser page, after which this will work again. You can have functions with optional values in JavaScript. Actually, every value can be optional. For example, you can say function add together that takes x and y, and you can define it as follows. If y is equal to undefined, which is a special JavaScript value to mean that some value has not been defined, I can return x plus 1. Else I can return x plus y. Okay, perhaps this is not written in the best possible way, but I can write add together of 3 only, okay, and this should return 4. Yes. And if I say add together of 3 and 2, this should give me 5 instead. Yes, this works as well. Another way to do the same, which perhaps looks a little bit better, especially for people who like Python, is function. Sorry, add these. Let me just call it x, y equals 1, and then I can say return x plus y. So I can specify default values, and I can say add these of 7, and this should give me as value 8. Yes,